A man digging a well. His shovel strikes something that should not exist. Stone, carved and smooth, buried beneath a field where nothing but crops has grown for 1,000 years. He is not looking for history. History just found him. This has happened again and again, on every continent, across centuries. Farmers, fishermen, soldiers, even treasure hunters, none of them searching for a lost city, all of them stumbling into one. Some of these places had been swallowed by jungle. Some were buried under volcanic ash. Some sank beneath the waves and simply waited. Today, we walk through 10 of these discoveries, places the world had forgotten, found not through years of research, but through pure, staggering accident. By the end, you may start to wonder how many more are still down there, right now. In 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius erupted with a force so violent, it buried the Roman city of Pompeii under nearly 20 feet of ash. Thousands died where they stood, their final moments preserved in the very material that killed them. For over 1,500 years, Pompeii vanished from memory. In the late 16th century, workers digging a channel to redirect a river struck painted walls beneath the soil, fragments of a world that should not have been there. At the time, nobody grasped what they had found, and the discovery was quietly set aside, buried again by indifference rather than ash. It wasn't until 1748 that engineers working on an unrelated project finally broke through into the heart of the city itself. What they found stopped the world in its tracks. Streets, bakeries, bathhouses, frescoes still vivid with color, as if painted only yesterday. According to archaeological evidence, the ash had acted almost like a time capsule, sealing everyday Roman life in the exact instant disaster struck, preserving it in a way no other site on Earth has matched. Nobody set out to find Pompeii. It was stumbled into twice, 2 centuries apart, before anyone understood what lay beneath their feet. If a volcano could hide a city in plain sight for 17 centuries, what else might still be sitting beneath us, waiting for the wrong shovel to strike the right stone? Half a world away, in the Peruvian Andes, a similar story unfolded, though this city had never really been forgotten by everyone, just by history books. In 1911, American historian Hiram Bingham was searching for a different lost city entirely when a local farmer mentions high a ridge above the Urubamba River, ruins his own family had known about for generations. What greeted Bingham as he climbed the ridge became one of the most iconic sights in human history. Stone terraces cut into impossibly steep mountainsides, temples aligned with startling precision to the movements of the sun, an entire city invisible from the valley below. This was Machu Picchu. Researchers believe it was built around 1450 as a royal estate for the Inca Emperor Pachacuti, though its exact purpose is still debated among historians. Some suggest a religious sanctuary, others an elite retreat, built in a location so remote that the Spanish conquistadors never found it and therefore never destroyed it. That isolation is likely why it survived when so much of Inca civilization did not. What strikes visitors most, even now, is the precision of the stonework, blocks fitted so tightly that not even a blade between them, without any mortar holding them together. Bingham did not discover a lost civilization. He was led to one by people who had never lost it in the first place. For centuries, the city of Troy existed only in poetry. Homer's Iliad described a legendary war fought over its walls, and most scholars treated it as pure myth. In the 1870s, German businessman Heinrich Schliemann became convinced Troy was real and began digging at a mound in modern Turkey called Hisarlik. using Homer almost like a treasure map. To the astonishment of the academic world, he found something. Layer after layer of ancient settlement, city built upon city, spanning thousands of years of human habitation, with evidence of destruction consistent with warfare during roughly the era the war was said occur. It's important to be clear that this is not proof the Trojan War happened exactly as Homer described, with gods intervening in human battles. Some historians suggest the ruins could be the historical seed the legend grew from, a real conflict later exaggerated through generations of oral storytelling. Others urge caution, noting how difficult it is to link one archaeological layer to one specific literary war. The evidence remains debated and likely always will. What Troy proved is that the line between myth and memory is often thinner than we assume. In 1860, French naturalist Henri Mohuot was led by local guides through the Cambodian jungle to towering stone spires, rising out of the canopy, wrapped and strangled by the roots of ancient trees. This was Angkor, once the heart of the Khmer Empire, one of the largest pre-industrial urban centers to have ever existed. It's worth noting that Angkor was never truly lost to the people living around it. Local communities and Buddhist monks had continued to main parts of the complex, particularly Angkor Wat, for generations, and earlier European travelers had even written about the ruins. What Mohuot did was introduce Angkor to a wider Western audience through vivid journals published after his death, sparking global fascination and eventually large-scale study. Researchers believe Angkor may have supported a population approaching 1 million people at its medieval peak. Its decline remains an active area of study. Some historians point to prolonged drought followed by intense flooding, both of which would have overwhelmed its complex water management systems. Others suggest political conflict and shifting trade routes played a larger role. Most agree it was likely a combination of environmental and political pressures, rather than a single dramatic collapse. What makes Angkor so haunting is the sheer scale of what nature quietly reclaimed: entire boulevards and reservoirs, larger than modern lakes, wrapped so completely in jungle that outsiders once dismissed reports of it as pure exaggeration. In the 1850s, British railway engineers building a line through the Punjab needed material and began quarrying ancient bricks from a mound near Mohenjo-daro, unknowingly tearing apart one of the oldest cities ever built. Archaeologists returned in the 1920s and uncovered a city roughly 4,500 years old, with a grid-planned street system and a sewage network centuries ahead of its time. This was the Indus Valley Civilization, one of the great cradles of early human society, alongside ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Remarkably, we still cannot read their written language. Thousands of inscribed seals and tablets have been found, but the script remains undeciphered to this day. Some historians suggest it may represent a language entirely unrelated to any modern tongue. Others believe it might not function as a full writing system at all, but rather a set of symbolic or administrative markings. The debate continues, and until it's resolved, an entire civilization remains partly mute, its buildings speaking loudly, its words saying nothing at all. Mohenjo-daro is a reminder that in our rush to build the future, we sometimes destroy pieces of the past before we even know we've found them. In March 1974, farmers in China's Shaanxi province were digging a well during a drought when their shovels struck a clay face staring back up at them from the earth. They had found the edge of the Terracotta Army, thousands of life-sized clay soldiers, to guard the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, China's first emperor, who died in 210 BC. As excavation expanded in the following years, archaeologists uncovered not just soldiers but chariots, horses, officials, and acrobats, each figure crafted with individual facial features and armor, suggesting extraordinary artistic and organizational effort. Researchers believe the army was meant to protect the emperor in the afterlife, reflecting both his power and his obsession with mortality. Historical records describe him consuming mercury-based elixirs in search of immortality, which may have hastened his death instead. Estimates suggest the site may hold over 8,000 soldiers, most still deliberately left buried, both out of respect for the site and to protect their fragile original pigments from rapid damage caused by exposure to air. What began as a desperate search for well water became one of archaeology's most significant discoveries, a silent army that had stood guard in total darkness for over 2,000 years. Not every lost city was found on land. Off the coast of Dwarka, in western India, fishermen had long described stone structures visible beneath certain tides. In the 1980s, marine archaeologists confirmed submerged walls, anchors, and pottery on the seabed, some dated to 3,000 or 4,000 years old. Here the story grows genuinely contested, and it's worth walking through it carefully. In Hindu tradition, Dwarka is described as the legendary city of the god Krishna, said to have sunk beneath the ocean after his death. Some researchers and cultural historians view the underwater ruins as potential evidence connecting archaeology to this ancient narrative. Other scientists urge more caution, pointing out that coastal erosion, rising sea levels, and natural geological shifts over thousands of years could account for submerged settlements without requiring any single, sudden mythological event. What we can say with confidence is that fishermen noticing strange shapes beneath their boats led to a formal excavation, uncovering real, tangible evidence of ancient coastal settlement in a region long associated with legend. Whether it is precisely the city described in ancient texts remains an open question. In 1972, treasure hunters moving through Colombia's Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta mountains, searching for artifacts to sell, stumbled onto stone terraces and staircases swallowed by jungle. This was Ciudad Perdida, the lost city, believed founded around 800 AD by the indigenous Tairona people, predating Machu Picchu by roughly 600 years. The looters removed artifacts before authorities became involved, a loss that still troubles archaeologists today since irreplaceable historical context was destroyed before it could ever be properly studied. It's a sobering reminder that accidental discovery is not always a clean, triumphant moment. Sometimes it comes soaked in greed, and the cost of that greed is knowledge that can never be fully recovered. Once archaeologists gained access, excavation revealed a complex urban network, home to an estimated population some researchers suggest may have reached several thousand people at its height. The Tairona descendants, indigenous communities who still live in the surrounding mountains, consider the site profoundly sacred, and their involvement has become essential to how it is now studied and protected, offering context that outside archaeology alone could never have provided. Great Zimbabwe is an enormous stone plex built without mortar, its walls rising over 30 feet, constructed by ancestors of the Shona people beginning in the 11th century. Local communities always knew it existed. In 1871, German explorer Karl Mauch encountered the ruins while hunting for gold, and his account introduced them to Europe, controversially framed as the work of some lost foreign civilization. This claim was not based on evidence. It was based on prejudice. For decades, Colonial authorities and some European scholars refused to accept that indigenous societies could have constructed something so architecturally sophisticated, promoting theories attributing the site to Phoenicians, Arabs, or other outside groups instead. Rigorous 20th century excavation thoroughly debunked these claims. Current research confirms, without meaningful dispute among modern archaeologists, that Great Zimbabwe was built by local ancestors of the Shona people, standing as the capital of a powerful kingdom dealing in gold, ivory, and cattle, with connections stretching as far as the Swahili coast. The stones told the truth all along. It simply took the world far too long to be willing to listen to them. Finally, in the deserts of modern Jordan, Petra was long known intimately by local Bedouin communities, but existed to the Western world only as rumor. In 1812, Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt, disguised as a Muslim traveler, convinced local guides to lead him toward what outsiders had only imagined. What he saw defied belief: an entire city carved directly into towering rose-colored cliffs, its famous treasury rising nearly 130 feet, its facade sculpted with astonishing precision straight out of solid rock. Petra served as capital of the Nabatean kingdom, a critical hub for incense, spice, and silk trade flowing between Arabia, Egypt, and the Mediterranean world. Researchers believe Petra's location was no accident. Its narrow, winding entrance canyon made it naturally defensible, while the surrounding cliffs concealed an advanced water management system, channeling scarce desert rainfall into cisterns that let a thriving city survive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Burckhardt didn't create Petra. He simply reconnected it to a wider world that had allowed it to slip from memory, a city that had never gone anywhere, only waited behind its stone doorway for someone curious enough to walk through. 10 cities, 10 separate accidents, a well for water, a myth taken seriously, a railway that needed bricks, treasure hunters chasing gold instead of history. Each of these discoveries shares a single, quietly unsettling thread. None of them were found because someone knew exactly where to look. They were found because someone was searching for something else entirely, and the past simply happened to be in the way. It raises a question worth sitting with. If 10 major lost cities were found essentially by chance, through wells, railways, floods, and desperate farmers, how many more are still out there right now, still buried, still sealed beneath jungle, sand, or ocean, waiting for the wrong shovel in the right place at exactly the right moment? So here's what we want to know from you. If you could stumble onto one lost city still hidden somewhere on Earth, which one would you want it to be? Let us know in the comments, and let's find out together what the ground might still be hiding beneath our feet.